Hi friends, welcome back or welcome in if you're new. My name is Haley and I'm really grateful that you're here. If you'd like to, you can say hi or you can just hang out in the chat and watch. If you want to, you can grab a book and read with me. Yeah, and this is time to laugh. I feel like I'm repeating what I did last week because I'm going to choose a book to read. If you weren't here last week, last week's was a little interesting because I chose a book and I read for a bit and got to about page 65 of the book and decided to DNF it, which means do not finish. And I had multiple reasons for doing that. Ultimately, it just wasn't a book that I felt good reading. It wasn't a book that was fun to read. It was not because it was like bad, like no shade to the author, but it was very negative. It just didn't feel like it was fun to read. So I was like, I don't want to read that on stream and just didn't really want to read it in general. And so I decided to DNF it, which is not a common occurrence for me. But that means that I need to start another book today. So that's what I'm going to do. Also, hopefully you can't tell too much, but I woke up not too long before this, but I'm trying to stay as consistent as possible with what time I start my stream. So that, if you are wondering, that is why I look a little sleepy. So bear with me a little bit. But yeah, what I also am going to do is I was a little bit behind on my February bullet journal spread. So it's not the best. And I also made a little error on it as well. And usually what I'll do is I'll do a cover page. So let me show you what I did for. So for January, I had this as my cover page, and don't mind the error there with the 2025. I feel like people can probably relate to me on this. It takes me probably a couple weeks when the new year changes to like lock in that it's 2026 in my head, not 2025, because you're doing it for 365 days, so it's difficult. But anyways, and then I do a like calendar spread, and then I do a bunch of other things. But so I was starting to work on my bullet journal, and I was like, okay, one of the more time consuming parts is the calendar, just because I like to have all the lines straight and all that stuff. And then I fill out what my schedule is. And so I was like, I'll work on that first, and then I can work on the cover page. And so I started working on the calendar, but then realized that I did it on the page right after the end of January. So I don't have room for a cover page. So this is my theme without the cover page. And yeah, I really kept it simple this month. With just a page for like highlights of every day, and then the books that I'm reading. And then I already started working on two of the books this is one of the books I finished, and then this is the one that I read and DNF'd. But I still wanted to have it in there because I did give it a try. So, yeah. So that is my February, which I'm going to just update that really quick. And anybody that's watching, let me know if you would like me to live stream when I work on my bullet journal, like for March. Maybe that's something that you guys would be interested in, because that's something I could definitely do. I don't know. I'd probably change my setup a little bit. I do have a desk over there, so I might change it up a little bit so you can kind of see like an over the top view, or maybe just see me working on it a little bit better, because this is a perfect setup for reading, because obviously I have my books in the back and I'm on my comfy bed and I have my pillows and blankets and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like if I was working on my bullet journal, I probably wouldn't want to work on it here. But anyways, sorry, I feel like I'm talking so fast. Gosh, I can't believe it's already February 9th. That's crazy to me. My goodness. Okay, so today is the 9th, which I literally just said. Let's see. Okay, so Saturday. Sometimes it's not that I can't remember. Sometimes I just have a hard time remembering what I did. So, which is why I try to fill in my like highlights page the like day of, because then I won't forget. So oftentimes when I'm filling that out, I have to like go back into my calendar, which is another reason why I use my calendar. Some people laugh at me for how busy my calendar looks, but it helps me because then I know what I'm doing every day. Okay. And then also, huge highlight yesterday, the Seahawks won the Super Bowl. Let's frickin' go. Loved that. I watched with my boyfriend and his family, and it was so fun. And there was actually some pretty good commercials. Obviously, I feel like everybody knows that the commercials are so fun during the Super Bowl. But I like football, so I like to watch just the game in general. But I know for some people, the commercials are kind of what gets them to actually tune in because they want to see all the commercials, and then they kind of tune out during the actual football game, which is totally fine, to each their own. I love that, but I like both aspects of it, so it was really fun to watch, and it was a good game too. Like, I feel like, and this is totally off topic, and we're not reading books yet, but just wanted to chat with you guys. But yeah, it's I feel like some people would maybe complain about or not like that it was a defense heavy game, but I feel like that's always so important to sports in general. Like, I played basketball, and one of the things that coaches, like all my coaches, always said was defense wins championships, and it's so true, because if your offense can score, for instance in basketball, your offense can score, even if you're struggling offensively, if your offense can score 45 points, which is not very much for basketball, but if your offense can score 45 points, if your defense can keep the other team to 40, you're going to win. But if your defense isn't good, the other team's going to score however many points, and you're only going to score 45. So in football, I feel like that's even more of a true thing, because there's even less chances, and there's so many other like variables and things that could happen. And if you can force turnovers, if you can, I mean, because I think they ended up with 6 sacks, which is huge. And for some people, if people don't know football, a sack is when they tackle the quarterback behind the line of scrimmage. So, which they almost tied the record for sacks in the Super Bowl, but the last one ended up being like not an incomplete pass, but it was an interception, and ran back for a touchdown rather than a fumble. So it didn't count as a sack, which was unfortunate for the guys, but still, 6 sacks in the Super Bowl is crazy. And they forced a couple turnovers. I think they ended up having 2 interceptions, because they had that one that was almost a sack, and then they had one other one towards the end. But yeah, it was just a defense heavy game, and it was so good. And then I ended up watching the Turning Point USA halftime show. I don't know if some people knew it was happening, but I tuned into the Turning Point USA halftime show, and it was so good. It was all a bunch of country artists, and I love country music, so that was fun, but it just felt very like American, true to the country. And it was really cool because Kid Rock was the like headliner of the show technically, and his first, I don't even know if I want to call it a song, but his first like song that he did was again, not even really a song. It was just kind of him coming out and like getting the crowd pumped up, and kind of like singing ish / like screaming into the mic. I mean, it got the crowd pumped up for sure. But then it was interesting because then he went into his like singer songwriter type of vibe, and I can't even remember what his real name is. It's like Robert Ritchie, I think, maybe, which I guess, well, no, that doesn't make any sense. Kid Rock. I wonder where he got Kid Rock from. Anyways, so he sang a song which I don't know whose song it actually is, because I know I've heard other people sing it. But he sang a song that's really good, and then at the very end he ended up adding a verse to it and basically ended up preaching the gospel through his song, which was so cool, and I loved to see it. But yeah, anyways. Oh, and then after the Super Bowl, me and my boyfriend and his cousin, who's also a close friend, we ended up watching The Proposal because my boyfriend had never seen it before, and that was fun because that's just a classic rom-com movie. And then our friend left, and so we ended up watching. Oh, we watched the first episode of the Percy Jackson series, the first episode of it, which also I'd have to figure out how this works, but let me know if you guys would want me to do any like reacting to shows or movies or something. I mean, obviously I react to books and that's what I want to keep these Monday mornings as, but if I end up being able to find some other time to stream, that's something that I've definitely thought about, because I react just as strongly, if not sometimes more strongly or more often, to movies and shows because it's just more jam-packed full of stuff. And so, yeah, let me know if that's something that you would like me to do or would want me to try. I'd have to figure out all the like copyright and how to actually do it, but I could definitely look into that because I do think that would be pretty fun, especially since I've gotten into anime with my boyfriend. And so this is the reason why I was asking, because last night we watched Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's so good. It's definitely complex, and which makes me grateful that I watch it with him because he's very good at explaining things. And so there's often times that we'll have to pause. So either I can ask questions or I can just make sure that I understand what's happening. Because obviously I think it's fun to watch regardless, even if you are a little bit confused. But I like to make sure I know and understand what's happening, not only in the specific moment, but also in the overarching scheme of the story, because it just makes it feel smoother to me, or just better as an overall watching experience if I understand it well. And so I'll pause it and just ask him questions and have him explain things to me to make sure I fully understand it, just so that it makes sense as I'm watching it as I continue to watch it. So we watched a bunch of episodes last night. I probably stayed up a little too late, which is, again, why I woke up not too long before I started this stream. But yeah, so I can't remember if I started that for a specific reason, but just kind of telling you guys about my day yesterday. So yeah, we watched a bunch of episodes of Jujutsu Kaisen, which we watched. I think we have 3 episodes left of what's currently on Netflix. So I kind of want to finish that today, but we'll see. Obviously not right now, because we're going to get into the reading in just a second, but I just wanted to update you guys. I feel like this has been a really fun, time for me to just talk to you guys, and hopefully we'll continue to build this small community. And again, if you are watching, you don't have to, say hi in the stream or in the chat, but if you would like to, go for it. I would love to see some more faces in the chat. But anyways, wrapping all that up, I would love to start reading a book. So I have a couple more Book of the Month books, which after my experience last week, I have decided that any of the Book of the Month books that I don't feel like are going to be faster paced or something that I'll actually have a good time reading, I probably will not read on stream. I'll probably read on my own time when I do get around to reading them. So with that being said, I think that romances are probably my best bet for books to read on stream, just because they're usually fairly short. They usually have got a lot going on, but it's not just like action or whatever. It's, theological, not theological things, philosophical things and psychological things was the actual word I was looking for. So yeah, I just think they are just going to be a little bit better for this type of stream where I want to read it and talk to you guys about it. There might be other times where I will just kind of make this a co-working space and just put it on and just read and not necessarily focus on, talking to you guys. Let me know if that's something you'd actually want to watch. But for now, I would like to have this Monday morning reading nook stream be something that is a little bit more interactive. And obviously there'll also be sections where I'm, reading a good chunk, but yeah, I would love to just talk to you guys and give my reactions to everything that's happening. So with that being said, I have 3 more book of the month books. So I'm just gonna pick which one. So we've got First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, which I feel like one of these is a debut novel, but I don't remember which one. I'm going to read the synopsis really quick because I can't remember what this is about. Ooh, that sounds kind of fun. Okay, and then The Passion Project by London Sperry. Oh, yeah. Okay, this one sounds really cute. Okay, let me read the synopsis of this one, and then I'll decide. But I think I know which one I want to do. Okay, then this one is The Heartbreak Hotel by Ellen O'Clover. Okay, this one's the debut. Okay, I know which one I'm gonna choose. Both of these sound really good, so I'm excited to read those eventually. But I think I'm gonna read this one, The Passion Project. So basically, the synopsis is, excuse me, this girl, her name's Bennett, which love that for a girl's name. She lives in New York City and she's feeling just kind of lost with her life. She doesn't have like passion and she just feels miserable. And then she gets set up on a first date with Henry Adams. So Bennett is the female main character. Henry is the male main character. And she drunkenly confesses she's not ready to love again and she doesn't feel passion for anything. And Henry is apparently just loves life and has passion for life. And so they decide to go on this adventure where they will just try a bunch of new activities as friends so that he can try to help her find some passion for something. And then obviously, because it's a romance, they start to fall in love with each other, which we love to hear. So yeah, I'm gonna read this one. I'm sorry, I'm reading I'm not gonna apologize for that. Please hold. I am reading the little blurb of the author on the back of the dust jacket. Oh, Passion Project is her first novel. I love that. I was going to say, because I hadn't heard of her before. So let me go on to my, let's see, where's my Goodreads? Goodreads. Also, if anybody has Goodreads and wants to follow me, let me know. You can just search my name, Haley, with 2 E's at the end. And then Bennett is my name. Don't wear it out. Oh, that was cringy as heck. Oh my gosh. That's how you know I'm tired. Jeez. Also, sorry if my voice feels a little raspier than normal. I was co-leading worship yesterday for our church. So my voice is a little bit tired today. Okay, you guys, you have to help me. Who of you guys reads reviews and who doesn't? Should I read reviews before I read the book or should I not? Because last week when I read my book, I feel like it would have been helpful to know that it was very badly rated on Goodreads and maybe would have been good to have known. But also, I hesitate to read the reviews because I don't want to get spoiled, you know? So, but I was just updating my Goodreads and saying that I was going to be reading this book, and it's a 3.78 with 33,953 ratings, which 3.78 is not bad because it's pretty close to 4, and I'd say maybe like a decent amount of people or of books that I rate are like that 3 to 4 range. Unless I got them highly recommended from somebody and I know it's going to be good, then that's typically a 4 or 5. But I think I described or explained this in maybe my first stream, but it was one of my early ones. But I only rate books 5 stars if I would read it again. Just because then as I'm scrolling through my list of books that I have, I can immediately see, okay, these are books that I would read again. So like, for example, most of these books on my shelves here, you can't see all of them, but most of these books I rated 5 stars. So like up there, you can't see it, unfortunately, but I have the whole Chloe Lease, I think that's how you say her last name, series. It's the Bergman Brothers books, and I love those books. I've read the whole series twice through because they're so cute, and I love an interconnected series, like one that you don't necessarily need to read like 1 through 7 in order. You definitely can, and it's probably most recommended just because you see other characters in the different books. But that's why I love it, because you don't just read one book and then you're done with those characters. You get to actually see them throughout the other books. And they do have some explicit scenes in there, so I just skip past those parts, but the writing is really cute and I like the romances, and the struggles that the characters go through feel so real. Obviously not all of them I can directly relate to, but she still somehow makes them feel relatable even if it's not something that I've experienced, if that makes sense. So anyways, those ones I I rated 5 stars because they're books that I would absolutely read again. And then same with some of these ones, which again, you can't see, I'm so sorry, but I have Funny Story by Emily Henry on there. I have a couple Colleen Hoover books. I know there's a whole lot of drama with Colleen Hoover and her books, and I definitely agree that some of them are absolutely insane. And she's probably one of those authors that needs to have like warning labels on her, or ratings, I guess is what you should call them. I talked about this last week because the book that I was reading was just rough. But you know how movies have ratings, and so they have to rate a movie R or PG-13 or whatever, and then they give like a little blurb of why it's rated that way. So they don't give anything away, but they say, nakedness or sexual acts or violence or language or whatever. Again, doesn't give anything away. There's no spoilers, but at least you know what you're getting into. Whereas with books, unless you read a bunch of reviews, you're not going to know that there's language or violence or abuse or whatever, and that can be really triggering for people. And so anyways, all that to say, I digress from that, but yeah, so geez Louise, I'm all over the place today. But I was saying that because I saw that The Passion Project had a 3.78 on Goodreads, which is not too bad. It's not the best, but it's not too bad. But you know what? I'm not going to read reviews. I just don't want to be spoiled, you know? Like, I'm not somebody that tries to, when I read books, tries to, figure out what's going to happen and whatever, especially with romances, because most of the time, they're going to end up together. They're going to get together, they're going to fall in love, there's going to be a conflict that's going to kind of pull them apart, but then they're going to find their way back to each other. That's just the classic. It's how it happens in every romance movie. It's how it happens in Hallmark movies. They're just a lot more cheesy about it. It's how it happens in romance books. So, you know what's going to happen, but I like to just fully immerse myself in a book rather than try to dissect every little thing. But that's part of the reason why, if it's really good and I'm so immersed in it that I'll finish it really fast, I'll rate it 5 stars, because then I could read it again. And then when I read it again, I can pick up on all the little details and all the things that would have maybe given away some of the things that were revealed later or whatever. And so, anyways, I digress again. Okay, here we go. And this time, I've got my sticky notes. I thought ahead. The last 2 times I started a book on here, I had to get up and go get these, but I have them right here. Actually, I'm also going to look on... So I use Goodreads. I've been using Goodreads for the longer amount of time, and I really like it. But I also last year started using this app called Fable. That's not what I wanted to look up. And I probably don't use it to its full capacity. But I do kind of like some of the features on it. So I've kind of been using both, which I know for some people will be like, what the heck? Why are you using both? But yeah, it's a little bit more like, I don't know if you can see that. It probably won't. But it's a little bit more like social media almost, where you can scroll through and people can make posts and stuff. And I just think that's kind of fun. I've never actually like fully scrolled through it like social media, but I do kind of like it. And then you can have like reading streaks and all these different things. But when I started it, you can input your information from Goodreads, so I have it all pretty much updated, but then I just update both apps when I'm reading books and stuff. So, oh goodness. Anyways, I'm gonna play some copyright free ambient music in the background. I play it, I don't know if you guys can actually hear it, but I just kind of set it over here to play while I read, so that I don't have to just sit in silence, which not to say that I can't do that, but yeah, it just helps me feel a little bit more in the vibe of the reading nook. Water, always a necessity. And then, yeah, I guess we'll get going. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I've talked for like 30 minutes before I even started reading. Hopefully you guys don't mind that. But now we're finally gonna get into the reading. Okay. And again, I'll keep saying this because you never know if there's new people in here, but I take off the dust jackets while I'm reading just so that there's not a bunch of rustling around. And also, it's kind of fun to see the colors. I love it. This is what if you're just joining, this is what the dust jacket looks like. Which, love the fun colors. That's awesome. And then this is what the hardcover book it looks like. Which also, this is a book of the month book, so I don't know what I think this is probably what the cover of the actual one looks like, but this part of it might be a little bit different than the actual, just because it's book of the month, but... Okay. Cute. Something else that you'll learn about me is I really like reading the dedications in books. There's just something about them that I think is really fun, and it definitely shows, I think it shows the personality of the author a little bit, and also just kind of gives you a view into their brain a little bit. And it's just so short, which is why I like it and why I think it's so cool. So this one says, Mom, the pigs are flying. It's so cute. All right. Passion Project. Chapter 1. What? Oh my gosh, that's actually so cute. I wonder if that's real. She said she was supposed to meet a guy at a cocktail bar called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, which I hadn't heard about until my sister and brother-in-law told me to to watch the movie Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and it's hilarious. It's old, and it's a very unique style, but it's really funny. And apparently at this bar, you can learn how to make personalized signature cocktails and sample them all night. And that's so fun. I love that. That's such a good concept too. I don't know how profitable it would be, but that's really fun. And I am going to put a little sticky note on that because I want to tell my sister about that later because that's so cute. She's referencing Mamma Mia too, which I watched Mamma Mia again a couple months ago, but I haven't watched Mamma Mia 2 again in a while. Add that to the list. Interesting. Page 3, we're getting a description of the man. Messy walnut brown hair, a friendly, cheeky smile, and his eyes are forest green. Gosh, that's so crazy. That's wild. So she's saying that she went to go to the bar and meet him, and then she ended up having a panic attack on the sidewalk. And she lives in New York, so the reality is that, one, there's so many people in New York, and they all have their own lives. Two, so much happens in New York that people at this point, like, don't even bat an eye. So, like, no one's gonna stop and help her on the sidewalk. Which is such a crazy concept to me. Like, I mean, you can say it, obviously, and saying it is doing different than doing it. But it just is crazy that you can be that desensitized to things that you don't have, like, empathy for people. Oh, he's got a tattoo. Eee! Okay, amazing. So first chapter, she's in a bathroom throwing up. She drank a bunch of wine because she got set up on a blind date. She went to the bar, couldn't go in, had a panic attack on the street, turned the corner, went to an Italian restaurant next door, drank a bunch of wine, and was throwing up in the toilet. Finally was picking herself up to leave. Someone knocks on the door, and it was the date that she was supposed to be meeting, Henry. And he's like, if you didn't want to go out with me, you could have just said so. And she's trying to play it off like she's not the guy, or she's not the girl that he was supposed to go on a date with. And then she tries to rush by him and get out of the restaurant. And she bumps into a waiter, spills wine on a guy, is rushing out so she doesn't stop and say sorry. And she's trying to get out the door. It won't open because she's pulling it, and it's a push. And he helped her open the door. Classic. We love to see it, but we also hate to see it. You know what I'm saying? Sad. She definitely has a lot of grief or trauma that she's dealing with. She says, she's talking about her relationship with Sonia, and She says, "It takes everything in me not to let my mushy, tangled insides pour out into our tiny apartment and slowly drown her." Oh. And then she says, a page later, she says, "We were silly back then. I don't know how to be silly anymore." That's so sad. No, don't do that. Okay, chapter 3. Oh, she's a little sad. She has anxiety and she's not in a good place right now. She's obviously grieving a man named Sam, but we don't know what happened with him yet. But it's obviously clear that she has not processed it fully, and so she's still struggling with it. Oh no, did he die? Oh my gosh, I want to know what happened. This is crazy. Ugh. She's giving me like little tidbits of her relationship with this Sam guy, but I still don't know what happened. But we also find out that his little sister, they used to be best friends. But then apparently she said something really mean to her the last time she saw her. So she has a wedding invite from the sister on her fridge. So then that was what sparked the going into the backstory of that. Boys have it easy in life, born with all the beauty and none of the beauty standards. Because she's looking at his long eyelashes. Except they have a lot of their standards that they are held to. We won't get into that. Oh, Four Weddings, a great show. I don't know if anybody's watched that show, but it's basically they bring 4 ladies in and they each attend each other's weddings and then they give each other ratings on like food, venue, dress, all the things, and then one of them ends up winning based on the ratings of the other one, and then they get some prize. It's like a honeymoon trip or something like that, which is low-key kind of fun. But also, they're savages, so. Oh! Okay, so she went back to the Italian restaurant because she lost her wallet and she knew that's where she would find it. And so she's waiting at the bar and then she's about to leave and someone slides the wallet over to her. She looks up the arm to who it was that slid it to her. It's Henry. He says, "Well, didn't think I'd ever see you again." Uh-oh. Also, I think ghosting is one of the absolute worst things that you could do to a person. It's just so rude. Like, why? You don't have the human decency to just be like, "Hey, I'm not ready to go on a date," or "Hey, I don't see this going anywhere," or "Hey, let's just be friends," or whatever. You're just gonna ignore them? That's a human being. That's so rude. Then they have no idea what's going on or what's wrong. Goodness gracious. I think that that's just so rude. These people. Okay, so she goes back to the Italian restaurant to get her wallet, and turns out that Henry, the one that she ghosted, works there, and so he returns her wallet. She's about to leave, but then he tells her that she won him a bet because he bet his coworker that she would come back for her wallet. And so now they are bonding because he offered her pizza. And so now they're just chatting with each other. He's trying to get her to talk about anything. Oh. Yep. Okay. Ex-boyfriend passed away. Oh, and she hasn't gone to therapy. Oh, that's not good. He's trying to be friends with her, and she's trying to scare him off, naturally. Because she has trauma, and she hasn't processed it, and she's trying to scare people away because she has been hurt in the past by something that she couldn't control, so she's trying to control it by being abrasive and pushing people away. I like their banter. It's good. And this is the first conversation they're having. Dang. She says, I think about the girl I was before everything went down with Sam. I was so excited for life to start, so excited for what my future would hold. I felt like life was a series of endless possibilities, surprises around every corner. But in chasing those opportunities, I lost the person I loved most. Now I have no spark left, only guilt and grief. Oof. That's so tough. I'm excited to continue to watch her process everything and actually start to get, not over it, but start to process through the grief and get to a place where, not that she's ever going to forget it, but that she doesn't feel that panic or the like full on grief anymore. Ah, that's so true. She's asking him what he would get out of it. And he's like, do I have to be getting something out of it? And he was like, she's like, that doesn't make any sense. Of course you have to be getting something out of it. He was like, I get a new friend. And then he says, I'm being spontaneous. And then he says, I have a bunch of fun stuff, which he says the S word, but I have a bunch of fun stuff I want to do and no one to do it with. You'd be doing me a favor, really. Which honestly is so true. I am an introvert, so I like my alone time. But when it comes to doing things, there's not a lot of things that I love to do alone. Most things I would say are enhanced or just more enjoyable in general if you do them with other people. And that's not to say that I would love to do them with a ton of other people, but like my people, the people that I love, the people that I'm closest to, that I feel comfortable with, those people would probably 95% of the time enhance or make more enjoyable an experience. Trying something new, going to a pottery class, going to a cooking class, going to whatever, or trying, I don't know, anything really. So definitely agree with him in this, and I feel like that would be it would be enough to get out of this situation that they're talking about, because he is basically trying to help her find her passion. He's like, let's do this. I'm so committed to this. Let's try to help you find your passion by trying a bunch of different things. And she's like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you help me? And he's like, well, I get a friend out of it, and I get to try a bunch of new things with somebody, and I don't have to do them alone, which I can totally understand. So I'm with him. She's obviously going to say yes, because that's the whole premise of the book, but we still love to see it. Yes, let's go. Okay. They've officially shaken hands on doing the passion project. So every Saturday they're going to do something new. And it's going to be awesome. Okay, that was the end of chapter 5. I'm going to keep reading because I'm really enjoying this. Let me just make sure that... Nobody needs me for anything. Yeah, we're good. All right, let's go. Okay, chapter 6. I wish we still had buildings that were beautiful, if that makes sense. Like, so much of our architecture. Architecture? That's a weird word. I know it's on an X. Architecture? I think that's how you say it. I don't know. Anyways. So much of that I feel like nowadays is just utility and, you know, what's going to be the most stable but also the cheapest to build, versus like in the old days when it was arches and columns and grandiose designs and marbling and yeah, like all the, and like just beautiful paintings and all the different things, and it was artwork is what it was. Masterpieces in building form. And I mean, with the advance of technology, it makes sense. And also, it's so much more, life now is so much more about the pursuit of profit and success. Not that there wasn't that back then, but when life was simpler and there wasn't technology, it was more about living and enjoying life and creating things, which is how we're supposed to be. Like, we were created by a creator, and in his image, and so we are meant to be creative, and architecture was just one of the many ways for people to manifest that. Manifest, I feel like, is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. And so it's just sad that we've lost so much of that. And that's honestly, as small as it is, that's part of the reason why I love doing my bullet journal and even like puzzles and things. Because like, yes, you're not drawing the picture, but you're still creating something because you're putting pieces together. And so I think that's something that I feel like is definitely a lost, even just pastime today, is just creating things. That's why I think it's fun to you know, do a painting class or do a pottery class or something. Like, it doesn't have to be a consistent thing that you're doing, but finding little ways to be creative, I think, is so important for our mental health, but also just for us as people, because we are connecting to part of how we were created to be. Anyways, that was a crazy tangent from her just mentioning the New York Public Library. So anyways, let me keep reading now. That's so true. She's saying she finally showed up to her job that she's working, and Sal is another temp that she works with sometimes, and she's just describing who he is, and she says, he's the only person who can call me sweetheart without making me want to rip his throat out. It's a paternal sweetheart, not a creepy one. Which is so true. I feel like sweetheart is one of those words where if it doesn't come from the right person, it is grating. But if it comes from the right person, it's kind of endearing. She needs to go to therapy. This is so unhealthy. Oh my gosh. He's so sweet. So she was about to go into what I think she was trying to describe as like a depressive state, and she was wondering why Henry hadn't texted her, because they exchanged numbers the last time they talked. And then she starts watching an episode of Criminal Minds, and it sparks a thought, and she realizes that she had blocked Henry's number because I think she had gotten his number when they were setting up the date in the first place. But then when she had her whole episode and she ran into him after she had thrown up a bunch, she blocked his number. So she unblocked his number, and then all these text messages that he sent her Okay, this is gonna be fun. I really like this guy. I think he's carefree, he's funny. This is gonna be great. Okay. Chapter 8. I believe this is gonna be their first outing on the Passion Project. And he is very intuitive because he already knew that she was thinking about ghosting him. We love a man with intuition. That's fun. This tattoo parlor does a tattoo class every Saturday. They teach you to use the needles and you practice tattooing on a honeydew. That's so cute. He made a joke about his coworker and friend Sarah getting grilled about over serving after her visit because was throwing up in the bathroom, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm probably famous at your restaurant for being an absolute disaster." He said, "I was kidding. You're very easy to tease." Oh. She swerved the hug, the attempted hug. Okay, but that was cute. That was the end of chapter 8. Okay, I'll read maybe 1 or 2 more chapters. Goodness. She's avoiding her parents as well, trying to not tell them that she's depressed and floating through life right now. Ugh. Her supervisor is a boob. Let's go! She said if she ever got mad at school, her and her friends would go to the batting cage. She said I wasn't good at hitting baseballs, but holding a bat and smashing things always made me feel better. Real girlfriend, real. Relatable. Honestly, I think I might go hit some baseballs today if it's not raining. Oh, we're gonna get what happened with Andy, her best friend. This is the flashback that we needed. Two years is a long time. Oh, that's devastating. Oh. Oh no. Oh, that's so sad. Okay, if she doesn't reconcile with Andy by the end of this book, I'm going to flip a gourd. So she basically was saying that the last time she saw Andy, which was her ex-boyfriend's little sister, they got into a fight, and she basically accused her of not caring that her brother was dead and just moving on so fast. And obviously that very much upset Andy, and she was like, fine, go do your thing, live in your world of misery, do what you want, but don't ever question me. And then at the very end, she said, I love you, Bennett. My family, we all love you so much, and I know you're too lost in your own pain to realize how much your words hurt me. And then they parted ways, and Andy tried to like text her, call her a bunch in the months after that, but she either never responded or just would wait for a really long time to respond. And then I think Andy's kind of last ditch effort was to send her a save the date to her wedding. That's so sad. Gosh. Okay. That was the end of chapter 9. They're about to go on their next passion project adventure, so I think I'll read until the end of that, and then I'll be done for the day. I always underestimate how much fun I'm gonna have doing this. So I'm like, oh, I'll only stream for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and then it's already 2 hours, and I'm like, oh, I could keep going forever. Which is part of, again, why I love books so much, because you can get so immersed in the story, and it's so fun. I love it. Okay, chapter 10. Their passion project for the day is volunteering at an adoption event, a dog adoption event. Oh, I love this. She's trying to get Fred, one of the older dogs, adopted. He's been at the clinic is what they call it, I think. I don't know, for almost over a year, but obviously everybody's trying to adopt puppies, and so she's trying to get Fred adopted, and she says, I hate that he's forgotten just because he's different. That's so funny. Henry is he's just a people person, and he's trying to make friends. So the last time they did their hangout, he just went up to a random guy and started talking to him in the park. And then the guy that was running the dog adoption event, Terrence, after it was over, asked them to hang out, and Henry agreed right away. So now she has to tag along. Oh, her mom named her after Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. For the record, one of my favorite movies of all time, and also a great book. But I do like the 2005 Keira Knightley version more than the 1995 BBC version. But the 1995 BBC version is better than I remembered it being, because I think I watched it once, like a long time ago when I was young. But then I rewatched it, I think it was last year actually, and it was actually really good. So, highly recommend watching both if you haven't watched either. The BBC version is technically like a mini series, so I think it's 6-hour-long episodes. And then the 2005 Keira Knightley version is just a movie. So I feel like because the BBC version, I think it's BBC, I don't know, you can fact check me. But because that one's longer, it obviously, I think, feels a little bit more true to the story in the sense of what happens. And also I feel like the way that they portrayed the characters felt very authentic to the book. But I just love the 2005 version because it just feels a little bit more modern in the way that they do the characters. And Mr. Darcy in the 2005 version, there's just something about him. And I love the way that Keira Knightley portrays Elizabeth. And it just, so many of the scenes are so iconic and it's just so good. And the soundtrack, it's amazing. Anyways, if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. If you haven't read the book, you should read the book. It's good. It is a classic, so, you know, it's a little bit more, I don't even know how to say it. It's just written in that more, like, old-time type of prose. But it's very good. Wow. I hadn't read far enough. And he says, Elizabeth Bennet, huh? She said, don't tell me you don't know Pride and Prejudice. He said, I think I read it in school, but I don't remember. She says, the Keira Knightley version is a masterpiece and the best movie ever made. Yes. I legitimately cannot tell you how many times I've watched that movie. It's so good. Oh, that's so true. He says, all stories are love stories. Wow, that was so cute. Oh, do I keep reading? I feel like that's a good place to stop. So I'm going to stop there. So I just finished chapter 10. I'm on page 106. And so far, really, really enjoying it. I really like the writing style. It's fairly simple. It's nothing crazy. She's not trying too hard. And I love the banter between the characters. It's really funny. It's light. It's witty. It feels akin to the banter that me and my friends have, which is fun. I really like the concept of him just trying to help her find her love for life again, basically. Like they're talking about it in the context of finding her passion, but it is honestly just trying to live life again rather than just surviving and being apathetic and just coasting through life. And so I love that it's kind of that, it's the golden retriever black cat energy, or like, what is it? Black cat sunshine or something like that, like sunshine boy and black cat girl or something. I can't remember exactly what the trope is, but basically that's kind of what it is. Like, he's just happy-go-lucky. He loves people. He loves to talk to people. He's just trying to make friends. He wants to try new things and enjoy life. And she, understandably, she went through something very traumatic. Her ex-boyfriend died, and she still hasn't fully recovered from it. She hasn't gone to therapy, which that is absolutely something that you should go to therapy for. I would never turn someone away from going to therapy if they feel like they need it. I don't think it's necessary for everybody or to be in it consistently, but I think it's so powerful and very helpful. And especially for something like this, it would be so helpful for her. So she's still dealing with a lot of that. She is at odds with her used to be best friend, who was her ex-boyfriend's little sister, and hasn't repaired that relationship. Her, that girl, her name's Andy, is getting married. I believe, I don't know what time of year this is currently taking place. I think it's the spring, but she's getting married in September. So I'm hoping that by the end of the book, she will have processed through things and will go to the wedding and make up with the best friend. But the one thing that I am wary of, that I don't want to happen, is that she doesn't do her processing and coming to a healthy place on her own for herself, but instead uses Henry to kind of patch up those holes. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, because that's where realistically the relationship could potentially not last in the long run. Like, obviously we wouldn't see the long run in this book, like it'll end with a happy ending of them being together, but when you use someone else to patch holes in your heart or to heal you from things, it puts too much expectation and pressure on that person, and it doesn't actually fully heal you yourself. And that's not to say that someone else can't help you heal. That is definitely something that can happen. And they can help you process, and they can help you talk through things and all that. But if that person is the person that is putting band-aids on the issues, that's not the healthiest thing. So that's my one worry with this book, is that she's gonna kind of use him as a band-aid, not intentionally necessarily, but, and honestly that might be the conflict that happens later, that they, she becomes so reliant on him that then there's some sort of something or conflict, or she's putting so much pressure on him that he can't maintain, and so they kind of have a little fight about it, and she realizes that she needs to heal herself and on her own first, and then they end up making up. So I don't know, that's just kind of my theory at this point, but that's my one worry going into reading the rest of the book. But so far I'm really enjoying this. I'm already excited for the next time I'm going to stream so that I can keep reading, because that's one thing too, is the books that I'm reading on stream, I want to only read on stream so that I don't stop reading and like talking to you guys about stuff and then read a big chunk and then come back and there's a bunch of stuff that we missed together. So I will save this one for the stream, but I'm very excited to read it the next time I have time. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for watching and joining me. Thanks for reading along with me, or just hanging out in this space while I read. And yeah, let me know if there's other things you guys want to see, or books you want me to read, or yeah, just questions that you have for me. Would love to interact with you guys a little bit more, and look forward to just continuing to build a community and finding fellow book lovers. So hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye, guys.